When we refer to an interface in general, we typically mean a point where two systems interact, and it is also typically asymmetric. So one side, one system defines how the interface should be like, and then the other system uses it. In Java, we have seen the word interface in the context of graphical user interfaces. We have also seen it in the context of application programming interfaces, the API of a particular method, for example. A Java class is also one form of an interface. What kind of interface? It provides public members, mainly the methods, if there are any public fields as well, so that other classes, the clients, can go ahead and use. The class interface consists of two parts. One is the method signature, which specifies what the method expects. What kind of parameters does it take? The other is the method return type, which allows us to know what we should expect from that method to give us if we use it. Java abstracts this idea one further step. A Java interface can be used as a type. It is a contract between a class which says that it will implement an interface and a class that uses that interface. Any class that implements the interface must implement all the methods that that interface specifies. Let's take a look at the syntax of an interface. How do we write an interface? It looks very much like a class. It starts with the reserved word interface and then the name of that interface, curly braces, inside which we're going to put the interface definition. We write an interface in its own file, exactly as we would do with a class, and inside the interface we have method declarations. Here are the differences to a class. The interface does not specify the implementation for the methods that it includes. There are method headers without bodies. There are no fields other than constants. Constants are the only kind of variable we can have inside an interface. And finally, we cannot have static methods inside an interface. Now, classes can also implement an interface. Suppose that we have declared the interface doable, then a class wants to implement that interface. You can see on the screen what is the syntax that we need to use. Class Henway implements doable. Now, when a class declares like that on its header that it is implementing a particular interface, then it has to implement, to provide a body for all of the methods that are defined inside the interface that it is implementing. That class can also have other methods as well, but it needs to at least have all of the methods that the interface specifies. We said that interfaces can be used as types. What does that mean? We can actually go ahead and declare variables that are of interface type. We can say doable D. Why would that be useful? It is a very useful tool that we can use because that interface variable can now hold references to objects of any class that implements that interface. It is a very general variable, if you wish. Here is how we could define the interface doable. We specify two methods. We provide the headers for two methods. One is the method compute. It takes as a parameter an integer and it returns an integer. The other one is the method doIt, which is void. It doesn't have a return value, and it takes as a parameter another int. Now, very important to note is the fact that the headers end with a semicolon of these methods. An interface never says how a particular method is implemented. This is the job of the class that is going to implement that particular interface. This is the job of the Henway class, which says that it is going to implement the doable interface. So what does that method have to do? that class, it needs to provide the details of the implementation for the methods that the doable interface specifies. And this is exactly what Henway does. It provides a body for each of those two methods. Now, it is not unusual to see a class implement an interface, and although it gives an actual body to each of the methods specified in the interface, it actually leaves empty the body of maybe a couple of methods. For instance, public void doIt, we could open curly brace and then close curly brace without writing anything else between the curly braces. That would count as an implementation of the doIt method. This is not to say that this is what we should do every time we want to implement an interface, but there are cases that a class does not actually need all of those methods.